All right, what is going on, guys? SteelTwins back at you with another video, and we are here to give you our NFL division winners and playoff rankings predictions for the 2020 NFL upcoming season.
If there even is a season. I know a lot of you guys in the comments are probably already saying that the season's not even going to happen. The season will get canceled before it even started, or it might even be suspended or shut down completely at some point during the season, because we all know this whole COVID thing. The NFL, as of this recording, still has yet to even confirm or announce any of their plans for testing, health, contracts, if anything were to happen.
All sorts of stuff that they're trying to do to make sure the season does happen.
Right. There's still a lot of questions to be asked and answered, on both parties, from the players, from the fans, and, of course, the league itself and the front office and the suits and ties and all that. So we don't know exactly what's happening. Training camp's about to start. We're going to be hitting August very shortly, which means we're a month closer to football and preseason. So we still don't know much. Hopefully there's a season. It's pretty much inevitable that at least one of these players are going to get it. What the NFL does when that happens, when that occurs, we don't know. And that's what we're talking about, because what is their planning for that? How are they going to address testing? Is it going to be daily? Is it going to be semi-daily? Is it going to be, I don't know. And if someone does get tested, what are they going to do? What's their protocols? What's their precautions? Yeah. So, I don't know.
All of this remains to be seen, but
we're still going to stick with it.
And the NFL is still saying that they are going to come out with a season. So.
Yes, and thus, with that being said, we're still here with this video, although, again, this might be pointless in a month's time. But we're here.
You know what? Screw it.
Yes, we still are here to give you the division and playoff rankings for the 2020 season. We're going to get right into it, starting from the AFC down to the NFC. We're going to start with AFC North. We're going to go through divisions, and then the top 7 seeds, since there's now 7 seeds instead of 6. Then NFC, and the same thing there. So we're going to start with AFC. The AFC North, in first place comes the Baltimore Ravens at 14-2. They got better, and I don't know how that's possible. They were arguably the most complete team last year. They had the MVP in Lamar Jackson. They broke their franchise record, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, an NFL record for most rushing yards collectively by a team in a full season.
Yeah, they did.
And they got better. They got J.K. Dobbins. They picked up Devin Duvernay as a reliable receiver in terms of speed and hands and route running ability and yak ability. Their defense, they traded for Calais Campbell, got him for chips. Although
pretty much.
I mean, and their draft overall, they got Patrick Queen in the middle of the front 7. I mean, it's unfair. I think they stole the entire draft, and they just got better.
Yeah, they got better. And it's scary to think about it, considering how they were last year.
Exactly.
And they got the easiest schedule in the league, so.
Yeah, 14-2. And we're just going to give a spoiler right here. They are the number 1 seed.
Yeah, I think that's obvious.
Yes.
But second place is the Pittsburgh Steelers at 12-4. Ben coming back, defense with how they played last year.
And what they're getting back.
Yeah, and the Steelers having the second easiest schedule. I mean, if everyone can stay healthy and do their job on the field, I think there's no doubt Steelers are a heavy favorite for the AFC.
Absolutely. I don't think we're going to beat the Ravens. That's why we have them listed first at 14-2 and us at 12-4. But, with Ben coming back, he's definitely going to control that offense with the depth he has, the weapons he has. I'm excited for this offense. Hopefully James Conner stays healthy and we can get a steady rushing game going, because we all know when he's healthy, he's a top back. Mm-hmm. He's a starter on any squad. So hopefully he stays healthy and maybe he earns a second contract. We don't know, but we'll see. And we all know what that defense is capable of. And, again, look what they got back. And look what they've added. So
exactly,
we're confident. So third place is the Cleveland Browns at 6-10.
Same record as last year. No change, no difference. I do not trust the Browns. Yes, they got talent. No question they have talent. But it's the Cleveland Browns we're talking about.
Yes.
I don't trust them, nor do I have faith in them even possibly getting any better. I don't. And Baker Mayfield is trash.
Absolute dumpster juice, honestly. Just garbage. And they picked up Case Keenum as the backup. I expect him to be a starter at some point in the season. I expect Baker to get sat for Keenum at some point.
And that wouldn't surprise me. If Baker plays terrible, Keenum comes in, and considering that their new head coach was the Vikings offensive coordinator when Keenum had his best season in his entire career. So I would not be surprised if that happens.
Yeah.
Would that make the Browns a better team? Who freaking knows? But right now, they suck.
Who knows? We know. 6-10. Browns suck.
Pretty
no
much.
change whatsoever. I see nothing from the Browns. I will never see anything from the Browns. Never.
Not unless we see some legitimate, how do you say it?
Legitimacy?
Yes. It's a
Pretty
hard word
much.
for me to
Yeah, pretty
say.
much. I just don't see nothing in the Browns. I really don't. And in the fourth and last place comes the Cincinnati Bengals at 5-11. A pretty decent rookie year, I'd say, for Joe Burrow. Now, on paper, I'll give him this. On paper, they have a hell of an offense. They have Joe Burrow, who just came off the greatest college career for a quarterback, I'd say, ever.
Yeah.
Joe Mixon is incredibly underrated. A.J. Green's coming back, if he can stay healthy. They picked up T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, John Ross. So, I mean, they're pretty stacked there. I'll give them that. But their offensive line is still an issue, and I don't trust their defense whatsoever.
No. So the Bengals are the Bengals, 5-11. I think Burrow will have a very fine rookie year, and that's that.
Pretty much.
For the AFC North. Now into the AFC South, we got in first place the Tennessee Titans at 10-6. They just locked up Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry. Good for them. Tannehill was a steady quarterback for him. Derrick Henry is pretty much the entire team, pretty much. And with how they played in the playoffs, I should say Derrick Henry.
Yeah, because he was that entire team.
Yeah. I mean, I can see especially in their division that's not too strong right now, I can definitely see Tennessee taking first place right here. And I do think that their squad is pretty talented, although I think their defense is going to take somewhat of a downfall considering they traded away Jarrell Casey for nothing, and Logan Ryan is still a free agent. So that's definitely going to hurt more on the defensive side of the football.
Right, but they still have talent there on that side of the ball. You know, Kevin Byard, Adoree Jackson's only going to get better. Don't forget Harold Landry on the one side of that pass rush, who I think could be a star in this league at some point.
Right.
So, I mean, I like the Titans. You know, I don't think Ryan Tannehill is someone that's going to lead a team far, but he is a change in the right direction for the Titans, I'd say. At least he was last year.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was deserving of that big contract for stepping in halfway through the year and doing absolutely nothing in the playoffs, but hey, that's the Titans.
If you just keep feeding Derrick Henry the ball, I think they'll be good for the most part.
Right. And they got a hell of a deal with Derrick Henry and the contract they gave him. Good.
Yeah.
Good for Henry taking that money before he loses money like Bell and Melvin Gordon did when they held out for bigger contracts. And great on the Titans because they're not really paying all that much for arguably one of the best running backs in the league. So credit to them for that. In second place of the AFC South comes the Indianapolis Colts at 7-9. I don't see now. Honestly, Phillip Rivers is, in my opinion, washed up. He's coming off his worst year, and I don't see how the Colts would trust him and leading a pretty decent team far. You know, I mean, the Colts were pretty decent with Jacoby Brissett last year, you know, coming in suddenly when Andrew Luck retired. There's no question I think the Colts would have been a top team if Luck didn't retire and stayed healthy that full year.
Right.
And with Brissett, and I thought they were pretty decent. They didn't obviously go far. Their season wasn't exactly what they all expected, but I thought they were decent. With Rivers at quarterback, I'm not expecting much. He just seems to be getting worse, and he's never been a clutch or winning quarterback.
No, not whatsoever. The Colts have a nice squad. I like their defense a lot. You know, they got Malik Hooker. They got Justin Houston. They traded for DeForest Buckner. That's going to help them a lot.
Right.
You know, they got great talent on the defense and the offense as well. T.Y. Hilton, Marlon Mack. They drafted DeAndre Swift, who could help their rushing game a lot.
Right, as well as Michael Pittman, who has arguably the best hands coming out of this draft class.
Yeah, so the Colts have talent. We don't think Phillip Rivers is the guy whatsoever.
No.
I mean, just look at last year for an example. Chargers had a stacked team. They went 5-11.
Yeah. Now, granted, their defense was down mostly due to Derwin James being out for most of the season, but nonetheless, you know, I don't know what the Colts' plan for quarterback is. I think they drafted. Didn't they draft some quarterback?
Wasn't it Jacob Eason?
I believe you are correct. Maybe that's their plan for the future. I don't know. Maybe they're using Rivers as a way to get an early pick. I have no idea what they're doing at quarterback, but I still say 7-9 just because they're still a decent team. I think that defense is going to hold them up a little bit.
Yeah.
In third place is the Houston Texans at 6-10, and Bill O'Brien's final year. In my opinion, he shouldn't even get to this upcoming season because he has completely turned that team upside down. Now, he was never the perfect coach for them. He was nothing but 9-7 and one and done if he was lucky to make the playoffs. But now look at him. He's GM. He traded away DeAndre Hopkins for a bag of farts and a broken piece of glass.
Literally. David Johnson.
He's nothing but a cap casualty. He can't stay healthy.
Yeah. He has not been the same since his breakout year when he got that contract.
No.
Since then, he has been literally nothing but an injury-prone, washed-up running back.
And Deshaun Watson has literally not one number one. You can make a argument for Brandon Cooks, but first of all, they traded, I believe, a first-round pick for him.
Yeah, they did.
For Brandon fucking Cooks. Really?
But they couldn't acquire one while trading away DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
Meanwhile, not only did they trade a first-round pick for Brandon Cooks, they eventually extended him. But you couldn't give that money to DeAndre Hopkins?
It's not smart. And
it makes no sense.
He is a cap casualty as well, because just like David Johnson, he's injury-prone.
Yeah.
Like, they have talent at wide receiver, but all that talent combined does not make DeAndre Hopkins.
I mean, exactly. You get Brandon Cooks, Will Fuller. Can he stay on the field? Is he even hurt at this moment? I'm already reading articles that is he out for the season?
Right.
Training camp hasn't started, and we're already getting articles about him being out for the season. You know it's bad when that happens.
Exactly.
You got Kenny Stills, who is a pretty good number 2/slot guy, but, I mean, even they have nobody. I feel bad for Deshaun Watson, man. He needs to get out of there ASAP.
Yeah.
More so, Bill O'Brien needs to get out of there ASAP, and someone needs to change that team around before it actually gets back to the dumps of the NFL.
Yeah. I fully expect Bill O'Brien to get fired. I really do.
He should be. He was horrible all these years. I don't want to say all these years because, I mean, he led them to the playoffs. Good for them, but, I mean, he was never a complete winning coach.
No. When it came to the playoffs, he never showed up whatsoever.
But it makes no sense. Then they would proceed to give him more power as a GM. What is wrong with that Texans front office?
Next thing you know, he's trading away J.J. Watt to the Pittsburgh Steelers, hopefully, for
Ryan Switzer.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, goddamn.
Pretty much.
So,
but anyway, Texans 6-10. I don't see much from them whatsoever. No. I think their defense is fine, but it's not going to be able to hold them enough. No. I really don't. And the Jags are last place at 2-14, worst team in the league. They are going to be tanking for Trevor Lawrence.
Poor Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
Now, the AFC East, this is when it gets really interesting here. In first place comes the Buffalo Bills at 10-6. I like the Bills. I think they got stronger this year. They picked up Stephon Diggs in a big trade, which they desperately needed. Even though John Brown was pretty good as their number one last year, very underrated season. Him being a number 2 is going to be even better for him. And Stephon Diggs, we all know how great of a receiver he is. They're going to complement each other well. Dawson Knox coming into a second year along with Devin Singletary, who I think they need to give the ball more so much often because I think he can be an absolute star and lead that team. The only issue, and we know what their defense is, Tre'Davious White and all that. The only issue is Josh Allen.
Yeah, it's his development and how he continues to be the starting quarterback for the Bills, if he truly is the future for the Bills at quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got a nice arm, no doubt about that. His arm strength is out of this world.
But even then, that cost him because he overthrows wide open receivers. We've seen it countless times.
And his accuracy is very questionable.
It is.
But he does help himself.
And decision-making, of course.
Yeah, but he does help himself and the team a lot with his rushing ability.
Yes.
He's shown that he can run on his feet. He can make plays on his feet.
Absolutely.
And in my honest opinion, he's a far more better Blake Bortles. In my honest opinion. I'm not saying he's going to end up like Blake Bortles. I'm just saying he's a far better Blake Bortles.
Right. I understand what you're saying there.
But Josh Allen needs to step up. He needs to make plays for this Bills team to really be taken seriously.
Exactly. This whole Bills team all depends on Josh Allen's development. It reminds me of the Bears when they traded for Khalil Mack and that great defense, which they still have, but, you know, that's being dragged down from their horrendous offense. When they had that great defense in 2018, it all depended on Mitchell Trubisky's development as a team. See how far they could go. And now look at them. They traded for Nick fucking Foles, who could potentially take that spot away from Trubisky come training camp.
And Nick Foles ain't all that bad.
No, he's not. He's a massive cap casualty for the Bears as well. First of all, I don't know what the Jags were thinking giving him all that money just to trade him. That's what you get when you have two idiotic franchises and just make trades.
Yeah.
Poverty franchises pretty much as of late.
Yeah.
Pathetic.
But the Bills win the AFC East. Second place is the New England Patriots at 8-8.
8-8. No losing season for Bill Belichick because that's how good he is. In my opinion, he is the greatest coach of all time. Why? Because he keeps finding ways to win. I know you guys are going to say he cheats and all that, and yes, he does, but he just keeps finding ways to win. He's been in this league for how long? And no one has found a way to outsmart him.
Nope.
I don't understand it. It's not fair, but he's that fucking good.
Yeah.
Now, the only thing about the Patriots team, they are clearly inferior compared to other teams they've had prior. Of course, they don't have Tom Brady no more. He went to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. In replacement, they have Jared Stidham and Cam Newton, who Cam Newton will probably get the start.
More than likely.
But even then, although Cam Newton's good, and I think he can have a revival in New England, there's only a few issues. One, his injuries. Two, he has no weapons that we know of. N'Keal Harry could be a decent one, but even then. And three, they're going to have to change up that entire offense to help out Cam Newton. You know, Bill Belichick has run a Tom Brady-like offense for 20 years. He's never had a quarterback like Cam Newton under Brady ever that I can recall. So he's never been able to move around the playbook, the offense. Now he has to with Cam Newton. That's going to be the issue here. Now, if there's one coach to change that around, it's Bill Belichick because he's that smart. But we'll see. So we still stick with 8-8. That defense could hold him up as well.
I definitely think it will because that defense is legit. It's just that Newton, he's not as explosive. The only thing he has on offense really is an offensive line, and that's great for him. But what's he going to use with it if he's got no target?
Yeah, a lot of questions about the Patriots, but I still think they go 8-8 because that's Bill Belichick for you. In third place comes the Miami Dolphins at 6-10. I actually think the Dolphins show some pretty decent potential here.
Yeah. And they made a lot of moves in the offseason. They got Byron Jones. They got Calvin Noy. They picked up that one former Bills defensive end. I can't remember his name. Shaq Lawson, I think.
Yeah. Although he was never really big for them, he's still a pretty
He's still an addition to
guy.
that defensive line, front seven in general. The Dolphins made a lot of additions to this team.
And plus the guys they drafted in the first round. Tua Tagovailoa, who's going to be their future, hopefully, is what they're planning for. Whether he gets to start day one is yet to be determined. It might be smart for him to learn under Ryan Fitzpatrick and then get the start, especially with his injuries. But that's why they selected Austin Jackson as well with the pick that they traded with the Steelers with. Thank you, Miami. Absolutely. So, and plus that corner they selected, I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name. I have no idea who he is. I don't know why they even selected him. So that is a little questionable, but even then, I think the Dolphins are still a pretty decent team. Plus, they got Jordan Howard in the backfield, help out a little bit there. And they still have a ton of draft capital next year.
Yeah, so the Bills could be I keep saying Bills, I'm sorry. The Dolphins could be a team on the rise.
They could be. And I think they show a little bit of potential this year to prove that. So
I can definitely see it.
That's what we're going to go with.
6-10, not bad for a Dolphins team that was terrible last year.
And was being talked about to be the number one overall pick, so
exactly.
Not too bad. And the fourth place in the basement, in the dumps, is the New York Jets at 4-12. I see nothing from the Jets. I don't even know how they went 7-9 last year. And Sam Darnold didn't even play most of the games. Like, I don't understand it.
Neither do I. Adam Gase is not the coach for him. Like, half of the players on his team right now, he doesn't even want on the team.
No, he don't want he might want Jamal Adams. I know damn well he don't want Marcus May. He definitely don't want Le'Veon Bell, and that's his issue. He has no communication. He has no connection with his players. He doesn't want most of them. It seems to be he's a locker room cancer, and he has no idea what he's doing on the football field, on the sidelines. He is awful for that Jets team.
If you look at that Jets team, they have talent, no question.
Sam Darnold could be decent. Le'Veon Bell, when he has a line, we know what he can do.
Yeah.
It's Jamal Adams, Marcus May, all that. But they're going to be on their way out soon. But even then.
Yeah, like, the Jets have talent, but Adam Gase is holding them back.
He's always held them back. He's always held most of his team back, even when he was with the Dolphins.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I mean, why do you think Ryan Tannehill was probably taken out of Miami? Now look at him in Tennessee.
Yeah.
He's like a refreshed quarterback.
Yeah.
A new quarterback in Tennessee.
Yeah.
So, Adam Gase is not the guy. So,
I don't see
and just like
Bill
O'Brien, I can definitely see him getting fired mid-season.
Yeah, I just don't see anything from the Jets this year.
Neither do I.
That's
so 4-12.
Yeah. Now the AFC West, this is where it gets really interesting. First place is of course the Kansas City Chiefs. They just locked up Patrick Mahomes to $500 million and Chris Jones, two of their big guys that they were trying to lock up this offseason. They have done it.
Yep.
Good for them.
Yep.
And they didn't really lose much outside of Bashaud Breeland. And that's going to be their only concern is their secondary, or specifically cornerback, because Juan Thornhill and Tyrann Mathieu can still do pretty good for them. Frank Clark and Chris Jones should have it all taken care of in the front end with the pass rush. And, of course, we all know what Patrick Mahomes can do with that offense and the weapons he has. And them adding Clyde Edwards-Helaire, which is absolutely filthy.
Yeah, that's not fair.
Yeah,
so the Chiefs 13-3, first place, and they are still, in my honest opinion, a heavy favorite for the AFC.
Absolutely.
Could be back-to-back Super Bowl champions. Who
Absolutely.
knows?
Especially with Patrick Mahomes, the quarterback, no doubt in my mind. Coming in second place is the Denver Broncos, 9-7. I like the Broncos this year. I really like the Broncos this year. I have, the Dolphins Dolphins, what the hell? Where am I getting? See what you done to me?
I'm sorry.
The Broncos just speak so much promise to me. I mean, look at that offense. Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler, Albert O, they drafted. Those are three electric, fast, scary, young weapons.
And the addition of Melvin Gordon from free agency and the guys they already have in Phillip Lindsay, Cortland Sutton, who broke out. Noah Fant, who's just waiting to break out.
And now the only question with that whole offense is Drew Lock. He's coming to a second year. He's definitely their starter. That is what the team is going to depend on, and that is what's going to set the tone for the Broncos. Yeah, that is his development.
That is the biggest mystery for the Denver Broncos. Now, when Drew Lock came in last year, they looked refreshed. They were playing more physical, more competitive. He was winning some games late into the season, so it spoke volumes about Drew Lock and the Broncos coming into this upcoming season.
Right.
So if Drew Lock can continue that, he could be a hell of a quarterback for him, especially with the weapons he has. There's no way he can fail.
Absolutely. He's got probably one of the more stacked offenses you could say in the league right now in terms of talent. That's just absolutely insane. I mean, Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy on the outside and KJ Hamler alone in the slot. That is absolutely terrifying. And then you have Noah Fant, Alberto in the tight end position. Imagine the 5 wide sets that they can put on, man. All that speed, it's absolutely insane. It's crazy. And like you said,
it could be a very scary offense.
Yeah, and don't forget their defense, man. They traded for A.J. Boye. They used the tag on Justin Simmons. They got Von Miller. They're getting Bradley Chubb back. They traded for Jarrell Casey, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. So, I mean,
their defense is looking real good.
Yeah, they are.
Not too like how their defense was last time they won the Super Bowl.
No.
But it's looking very competitive, very good. So the Broncos are probably the biggest sleeper team in the AFC.
I would say so. They are looking really impressive to me, and it really, like you said, all really depends on Drew Lock's development. But I like him this year. I really do. Another team I really like this year, despite their record that we gave them, the Raiders.
The Las Vegas Raiders.
I almost said the Oakland. They're not Oakland no more. They're out of Oakland. They are now the Las Vegas Raiders. They stand third place at 7-9. The Raiders are another team that just speak potential to me. Like, they were clearly overrated. From 2016 to 17, they were completely overrated. You know, they had that one good year. Derek Carr went down, and they were never the same.
No.
Never the same with Jack Del Rio. Then they got John Gruden, and then they started being a little better, a little decent. But even then, they weren't showing the potential they had. They traded away Khalil Mack and all that. That's understandable. Then they drafted Cleveland Farrell, who is not a Khalil Mack, but he's coming to a second year. Give him time. They're getting Jonathan Abram back, who was out the first game last year, and pair him up with LaMarcus Joyner. That could be good for their secondary. They are getting Josh Jacobs, of course. They got him back. They selected Henry Ruggs in the first round. That speed's there. Don't forget Darren Waller at tight end. So I like it. The only concern is Derek Carr. Is he consistent? Can he lead that team to at least the playoffs?
Exactly. I'm not really a fan of Derek Carr. I think he's a fine quarterback for what he is. I just don't think he's consistent.
No.
I really don't. I think that's what's going to hurt the Raiders a lot this season if he doesn't step up and if he doesn't show up.
Right. Otherwise, they too could have a pretty good offense. Don't forget, I forgot Tyrell Williams and Hunter Renfrow. So
yeah,
they are pretty loaded on offense. It just comes to Derek Carr.
Exactly.
And they're getting some pieces on defense back anyway. So they could be decent, but we're still going to give them 7-9 on the safe note.
Yeah.
Now in last and fourth place is the Los Angeles Chargers, 5-11. They are good. They have a really good team. There's no doubt about it. It's been that way for how many years now?
Yeah, and that defense, I love their defense. I think it's great. The offense, on the other hand, besides their receiving core, I think it's fine. I don't like the quarterbacks. I don't like Tyrod Taylor, and Justin Herbert needs to redshirt his entire year, in my honest opinion.
Right.
I don't think that he should come in when Tyrod plays terrible, because I know he is, because that's Tyrod Taylor for you. I don't think Justin Herbert should come in and play, because I think that's going to hurt his development. And I think that's going to be very costly for the Chargers when it comes to their future at the quarterback position.
Either way, I also just can't trust the Chargers in general. So even though I really like their team, but, that's the Chargers at 5-11. So that is the AFC divisions. Now the AFC playoffs. The 7 teams heading into the playoffs is the first seed, of course, Baltimore Ravens. They get their first round bye. Second seed is the Kansas City Chiefs. Third seed is the Tennessee Titans. The 4th seed is the Buffalo Bills. The 5th seed is the Pittsburgh Steelers. The 6th seed is the Denver Broncos. And the 7th seed, making the playoffs, are the New England Patriots.
The New England Patriots still somehow sneak their way into the playoffs, even losing Tom Brady.
Whether they go far or not, I doubt it. But I think they sneak it in because that's Bill Belichick for you.
Right.
That's just how he is. That's how he works. Yes. So let's know your guys' thoughts about that down below. If you guys have any different teams you want to insert into the playoffs, maybe the Raiders, maybe the Colts, maybe the Browns. I mean, who knows? Or maybe the
Texans, possibly.
If
you guys still think that they could be a competitive playoff team.
Right, but if there's any teams you want to, take out and put in those spots, go ahead and put it down below, man. Now on to the NFC. We're going to start with the NFC South. First place is the Green Bay Packers.
At 11-5. The Packers, I still feel, is a fine team. Their defense is all right. It's nothing great or anything, but I think it's fine. I think it's capable. Definitely better from years prior when it was absolutely atrocious.
Yes.
And their offense, I like Aaron Jones. He had a breakout year. I think he could be a stud if they be more consistent and give him the ball more.
Mm-hmm.
It's Aaron Rodgers. He's great, but he's got no targets. Outside of one, Devontae Adams.
That's it. Jay Sternberger couldn't make that sophomore jump, but other than that, who's he got?
And I
know
they
drafted no receivers.
No, and I know they have another tight end that they drafted. I can't remember who he was, though, but they did not draft one receiver in the draft. They signed one, Devin Funches, but he's nothing but a depth guy nowadays.
Right.
So they literally have no receivers whatsoever. They drafted Jordan Love in the first round, which is still
mind-boggling.
Yeah, I still don't get why they would do that. They drafted that running back, that big running back. What's his name?
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Was it in the second round?
I believe it was. They drafted a running back when they have Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams. What the fuck you need a running back for?
Makes absolutely no
sense.
Aaron
Jones led the league in touchdowns, had a breakout year. Keep feeding that man the ball, and you got Jamal Williams, who's a dependable backup. Why are you drafting a fucking running back after you drafted a quarterback? No sense. But we still think they go 11-5. This could be Aaron Rodgers' last year in Green Bay.
And honestly, I can see it. Because with how their head coach, Aaron Rodgers, have been, although it's been 1 year, it's not looking too good for them. And this could actually cause Aaron Rodgers to be out of Green Bay by next year, whether that's via trade or release.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Or maybe halfway through the year. Who knows? Depending on performance or depending on how everything goes.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think about. But Packers still win the NFC North. First seed 11-5. Coming in second place is the Minnesota Vikings at 10-6. I like the Vikings, but they just, I don't know, something about them this year just speaks problems.
I think that starts with Kirk Cousins.
Clearly.
In my opinion.
Kirk Cousins, statistically, since joining the Vikings, he's done good. But he can't win against big teams in primetime games, and he just can't really do much in the playoffs, in my opinion.
He just doesn't show up in general.
No. Dalvin Cook is apparently holding out for a bigger contract, so is he going to show up? They got Alexander Madison, who could be very steady. He looks real good. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Dalvin Cook, honestly, from when I saw him run, when he stepped in for when Cook was hurt or when he came in for, grievance and shit. But other than that,
they got Adam Thielen, who's one of the best receivers in the league. They got Justin Jefferson, who was great for Joe Burrow last year in LSU. They got Irv Smith and Kyle Rudolph are two very good and capable tight ends on the offense.
And their defense is still good, even though they lost Everson Griffin. I think that's really going to hurt. Not only that defense, but Danielle Hunter's performance, because that chemistry was crazy.
Oh, yeah. Harrison Smith and Anthony Harris, two of the best safeties in the league. That safety duo is arguably the best right now.
Right. And their corners, I mean, they lost. Who did they lose? They lost. Do they still have?
They lost their three starting quarterbacks. They lost Xavier Rhodes, who was washed up anyway. They lost Trey Waynes, who wasn't really anything anyway, and they lost Mackenzie Alexander. So they literally have no corners outside of Mike Hughes, who could step up big time. But other than that, they have no corners.
Yeah.
All they have is two safeties. That's it.
Yeah. So something about them this year just speaks problems. So we're gonna give them a 10-6. Whether that's enough to make the playoffs has yet to be determined, but we'll get into that later. Third place is the Detroit Lions. Believe it or not, 9-7.
9-7 for the Detroit Lions.
Now, he might be opposed, okay? He might be opposed, you might be opposed, and that's completely fine. But something about the Lions this year just speaks potential. I don't know what it is. You know, last year, I mean, before Stafford went down, now their record clearly didn't show it. They were what 1-3 or something like that,
right?
At that point, but the record clearly didn't show it. But they were holding in for some pretty big teams. You know, they're keeping it close, especially against the Chiefs, which is very impressive.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the record didn't show it, but they were able to stay in and stick in with some big teams. So, and then Stafford went down, and their season kind of took a turn. But, you know, they're getting Stafford back healthy. Kenny Golladay just came off a hell of a year. He's only going to get better himself. They got Kerryon Johnson in the backfield, along with didn't they draft a running back, or am I thinking of another team?
They might have. I can't exactly remember.
I can't remember. I think I'm thinking of another team, but nonetheless.
Yeah, they got Kerryon Johnson, who they should use more. I think he's a fine running back for what he is. They got T.J. Hawkinson, who could be coming into his own if Stafford can adapt tight ends to his play style.
Right. And that defense, although they lost Darius Slade to trade with the Eagles, they picked up Jeffrey Okudah, who I think is going to be an absolute stud. I think he's going to be a complete shutdown, lockdown guy. So he could really make an immediate impact for that team, honestly. And that front seven's still very good. So something about the Lions speaks potential to me. You know, 9-7 isn't spoiler. It's not enough to make the playoffs, but something about that just speaks potential to me. Plus, Matt Patricia could be growing as a head coach. So I don't know. You know, you guys might be opposed. He might be opposed, but that's just me. That's just me.
I mean, we'll see. You know, Detroit Lions. Who knows? Who really knows? But I guess we'll find out when the season and if the season does happen. Right. Now, in fourth place is the Chicago Bears at 4-12.
Yeah, the Bears suck.
Their quarterbacks suck.
Pretty much.
The rushing game could have potential with Devin Singletary, but
David Montgomery.
Yeah, David Montgomery. I'm sorry.
They need to give him the ball, man. I thought he was going to be an absolute fantasy steal last year. Nope.
Their offense is dreadful. Their defense, on the other hand, I think it's great.
No. And they got Matt Nagy at head coach, who, I mean, in his first year won Coach of the Year, but looking at it now, it's not looking good.
I mean, even with that awful offense, they still managed to go 8-8. So I wouldn't be surprised if he chooses this year to just tank to get a guy like
Justin Fields
or Trey Lance.
Yeah.
Unless he wants to try to get Trevor Lawrence. Who knows?
That might require a trade, but, I mean, we'll see what happens. But 4-12 for the Chicago Bears. NFC South, first place, the Saints, not the Buccaneers, the Saints at 12-4. The Saints are just an incredible team. They are one of the most complete teams in the league, in my opinion. We know what they're capable of. We know what their offense is, how stacked their offense is. I think they just picked up Emmanuel Sanders. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, they did.
I mean, shit.
That's a great number 2 for Michael Thomas.
Yes, it is. And their defense, we know what they're capable of, with Cameron Jordan leading the way. And Marcus Davenport, we know Marshawn Lattimore. What was that safety's name that missed that tackle? I forget his name. Marcus Williams. Yeah, Marcus Peters with the Ravens.
Yeah, Marcus Williams. And they traded for Malcolm. No, they signed. For Malcolm Jenkins.
Yes,
he's back in New Orleans.
He's gonna be a nice versatile piece for that defense. The Saints are a great team. I just don't trust Sean Payton anymore. I can't. You know, I thought he was going to lead them to another ring, but I can't trust him anymore. He's had the best team he's had since that Super Bowl run. 3-4 straight years, only to keep losing in the playoffs. They went one and done last year. The past few years, they've lost to the fucking Vikings with Case Keenum and Kirk Cousins at quarterback.
Yeah, it's disappointing.
They lost to a Rams team that would get that would score 0 touchdowns, I believe, in the Super Bowl against the Patriots.
Yeah, only scored a field goal. That's it. The Saints are arguably the most talented team in the NFL, probably the best NFC team on
paper.
Yeah.
I just can't trust Sean Payton no more.
How can you? After the last 3 years?
Yeah.
Right now, if I'm Payton, right now is the time to fucking
man, strike while the iron's hot, but you're not.
Drew Brees, he's coming into his final years.
He is.
You have to strike.
He was contemplating retirement this offseason. And then he signed that extension, I believe, that 1-2-year extension. And now, this could be his last year. I've been calling for Ben and Brees Super Bowl. I've been calling for Drew Brees to get his second ring. In fact, I remember watching that Saints and Vikings game when Case Keenum threw that ball to Stephon Diggs. Watching that live, man, my jaw, there was 2 moments ever watching football that my jaw legit dropped. That was one of them.
Yeah.
And inside, I was hurt because I want Brees to win another Super Bowl. I don't think he's going to do it. Not with Sean Payton. And the crazy thing is they're one of the greatest fucking quarterback head coach duos of all time.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane.
And the talent that Brees got, they need to strike while the iron's hot.
They do. This is the year. If it's not this year, it's never any year.
No,
because this is honestly the final year for them to do it. It really is. Because in my opinion, this is Brees' final year. It is.
Now, second place is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 11-5. They got Tom Brady. They traded for Rob Gronkowski, who's coming out of retirement. They got Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, 2 of the best receivers in the NFL.
Arguably.
They still
definitely number ones on any squad.
They still got O.J. Howard and Cameron Braid, who are 2 capable tight ends behind Gronk.
Yeah, which is insane. The
offensive line's upgraded.
If you're looking at it on paper, this is the most stacked offense Tom Brady has ever had to play with in a long time. And in my opinion, probably since, 2011?
I'd say so.
2010, 2011?
When they had Gronkowski when he was younger, Aaron Hernandez, Wes Welker.
And that defense is questionable, but, you can't deny that front 7. Devin White, Levante David, Shaq Barrett coming off almost 20-sack season.
Jason Pierre-Paul.
Vita Vea.
That front 7 is great. It's fantastic.
That secondary is obviously still questionable. It's been questionable for how many years now? But, with that offense, it could still lead them. But the only issue with the Buccaneers, not only outside of their secondary, is the offense. And by that, I mean their style. By that, I mean Bruce Arians' playbook. Bruce Arians, great coach. Still a great coach, even after sitting out that 1 year. Still a great coach. But he's going to have to change out that entire playbook to help out Tom Brady. In my opinion, Tom Brady doesn't have the arm to bomb it 40, 50 yards like Bruce Arians loves to. He's done it for how many years? When he was with the Steelers, with Ben. When he was with the Colts, with Andrew Luck. When he was with the Cardinals, with Carson Palmer. Even last year with Jameis Winston. How many times did you see Winston air it out? You think Brady's going to do that several times a game? I don't think so. Now, he could prove me wrong. He could prove all of us wrong. But I don't see it. Not at this stage of his career, not at this age. I just don't see it. Bruce Arians is going to have to turn that playbook completely upside down to suit Brady's, dink and dunks and check down pass.
His play style.
Yeah.
Because Tom Brady is a system quarterback. No doubt about it. So Bruce Arians is going to have to do a lot of changes to the offense to help and make Tom Brady fit in that offense.
Otherwise, it could be a missed opportunity big time.
It could be.
By the way, they did Jameis Winston dirty. I didn't think the Buccaneers were that bad with Winston. Was he a turnover machine? Sure. But I think that LASIK eye surgery is really going to help him read defenses come in the future. And we all saw how dynamic their offense was. Just give that man a solid line. Ronald Jones isn't bad, but he's not a leading running back. And a damn secondary. And I think they could have been decent. But instead, they let him go for 42, 43-year-old Tom Brady, coming off the worst season of his career.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know.
This could come back to bite them, or it could be in big favor of them.
Yeah.
We don't know. But right now, we got the Buccaneers in second place in the NFC South at 11-5.
Yes. Now, in third place comes the Carolina Panthers at 7-9. The Panthers, on paper, offensively look great. Teddy Bridgewater was really good as a backup for Breeze. I actually think he went undefeated for the Saints in that
starting wise, yes.
Yes, he did. And then he's got arguably the best running back in the league in Christian McCaffrey. And then DJ Moore, who's coming off a 1,000-yard season, incredibly underrated.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's got weapons. He really does. He's got an okay offensive line, I'd say. I don't know much about their offensive line. I honestly, right now at this point in juncture, can't name you one person on that offensive line. But, I mean, I'd say it's pretty decent. Their defense is a little questionable. They lost Luke Kuechly. I don't think many people are understanding how much of a gap that's going to be.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be a major gap. It's going to be hard replacing Luke Kuechly.
Yeah.
It really is. Luke Kuechly is one of a kind.
He is a generational talent just because he is so crazy.
Yeah.
You know, he reminded me of Brian Urlacher in Urlacher's prime. And then he retired so young, barely even 30 years old.
Yeah. And they didn't replace him yet. I think they will eventually.
Not that I know.
Just not this season.
Yeah.
And that's going to hurt him a lot on offense. It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, defense. I'm sorry.
And
I cannot talk today.
But nonetheless, that could drag the Panthers' offense.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
They lost Joe McCoy. They have no... Maybe
Dante Jackson is their only corner that I know of. I don't know their safeties.
Yeah.
So
outside of Trey Boston.
Right.
But that's about it. I think Eric Reed left.
Right.
I can't remember. But.
So the Panthers go 7-9, and Matt Rule's first year, I think that's pretty decent. There's still room for improvement. I think he'll do that in the future, but I don't think that's too bad for Matt Rule's first year. 7-9, not too bad. In fourth place comes Atlanta Falcons, 6-10, and Dan Quinn's final year. I don't trust the Falcons. Matt Ryan's getting older. They have Todd Gurley and his arthritic knees in the backfield with, I don't even know who their backup is. Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley are incredible. I don't know who their tight end is outside of that Hayden Hurst, who they trade with the Ravens, but even then, he's still trying to get his football career back on track, so we don't know all about him. Their defense can't stay healthy to save their damn lives.
No.
So I don't trust the Falcons. And honestly, I don't know if I can trust Dan Quinn anymore. He barely saved his job last year. I don't think he's going to save it this year.
They have never covered in the Super Bowl.
No.
I don't see the Falcons amounting to anything whatsoever.
Falcons, honestly, could be looking very different after the season. Remember in the draft when there were rumors that they were thinking about trading up for a quarterback possibly?
Yeah.
This could be Matt Ryan's final year.
Who knows?
They could be moving on from Dan Quinn and Matt Ryan. This could be a completely different Atlanta look from a year from now. In a year from now. So,
we'll see.
Just want to get that out there.
Now the NFC East.
The worst division of football.
Yes, no doubt. First place is the Philadelphia Eagles. Not the Dallas Cowboys. The Philadelphia Eagles at 10-6. They got talent. I think they are a hell of a squad.
They are. Carson Wentz, when he's healthy, I think is a top 10 quarterback. They added Jalen Reagor, finally a weapon Wentz can depend on. Their tight ends, Zach Ertz is great. Dallas Goedert hopefully starts molding into his own and starts showing consistency. Give Miles Sanders the ball more. I think that helps out your rushing game very much and take some pressure off of Wentz. Their offensive line, at who they have, looks pretty good. They're getting Andre Dillard in his first full year. Jason Pierce is going to fill in for that Brandon Brooks role who got out due to a season-ending injury. So that adds veteranship and experience and dependability inside, I'd say.
And their defense is very good, especially their front seven. Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, Derek Barnett.
Javon Hargrave, who they picked up in free agency, is going to be big for them. So, I like the Eagles this year. And side note, Doug Peterson, in my opinion, is a top 10 head coach. Ever since he's joined that Eagles team, some Eagles fans may disagree with me, but he's kept them in playoff rankings.
Yeah,
ever since then. So
I mean, he got them their first Super Bowl when nobody did.
Yeah, not Andy Reid, nobody. So credit to him. Seriously, credit to him. He's not the most complete coach. He's not, magnificent, but he's done pretty well for him since joining in there.
Yeah, he has.
So I think that continues this year at 10-6 with the Eagles.
Now,
taking the NFC East.
I do think that they will start slow because that's how the Eagles are.
Yeah.
But when the main games come ahead, when the playoff picture starts coming about, that's when Doug Peterson shows up.
Yep.
That's when the Eagles team shows up.
That's when he's on.
I think that's going to help them make the playoffs and win the division.
Yes.
Now in second place is the Dallas Cowboys at 9-7.
All right, let's adjust the elephant in the room. Dak Prescott. I don't think he signed his tag. Well, he might have.
He signed his tag.
Okay, he signed it.
They couldn't come to an agreement. It was too late.
Right. So,
nor should he have signed it because he is not worth that much.
Actually, I think the final offer the Cowboys gave him was somewhere around $33 to $35 million a year. Way too much for Dak Prescott, who, in my opinion, is not a winning quarterback, is not a clutch quarterback, couldn't make the playoffs last year with a stacked offense that included 2 1,000-yard receivers, almost 3 with Randall Cobb, a top 5 running back in Ezekiel Elliott, and a great offensive line. He is not deserving of what he thinks he is. He's not deserving of $40 million.
Right.
Nor is any team going to give him that. In my opinion, he's not going to see an offer like that ever again.
No, he probably won't.
Dak is a fucking idiot if he thinks he's worth that much and if he thinks he's going to get more than that.
Yeah.
He's never going to see an offer like that ever again, in my opinion.
No, he's
Nor
not.
is he worth it. The Cowboys should be grateful he declined that. Because you know what? Dak might play. He signed the tag. He's going to get paid that money. Unless he sits out. He could sit out this year because of his frustration. Andy Dalton could be getting the starting gig all year. And nonetheless, I think Andy Dalton might be a better bet.
Yeah, I never thought Andy Dalton was a terrible quarterback. I never thought that. I thought that he was a fine quarterback for what he had around him. A.J. Green, Marvin
Jones. Yeah, in
Marvin
2015,
Jones.
man, he had a stacked offense. Marvin Jones, Mohamed Sanu, Tyler Eifert when he was healthy, A.J. Green in his prime.
He just never had the offensive line. Now he does. Although Travis Frederick did retire, they still got a hell of a replacement in Tyler Badass. So that offensive line's still fucking good. He's actually got a great rushing game. If Andy Dalton were to go in there, plus he's got CD fucking Lamb.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, the best receiver to come out of this entire draft class.
Yeah, so if Andy Dalton were to come in, I think he'd have a stellar performance and a stellar year for Dallas.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, in my opinion, now you guys could think different, and that's fine. This is my opinion. I think Andy Dalton is the better choice than Dak Prescott for Dallas and their future. I do.
I agree. I am right there with you.
And it saved them a lot of money.
A whole lot of money,
it
man.
It really would.
I mean, they signed him to how much? 8, 10 mil or something like that? Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not 100% sure. But, I mean, you're pretty much getting the same result, if not better, for 30 mil less than what Dak wants.
Yeah.
So, good for you. Good for you. Dak might as well be on his way out.
Yeah, have him take rob somebody else's team.
Yeah.
Whether that be, I don't know, the freaking Falcons, it could be the Bears, it could be the Jets.
I wouldn't be surprised if he actually does go to the Falcons next year. Now, we're not saying Dak is a bad quarterback. He's not.
No, he's not.
He's a decent quarterback. He's just not one that will go into a team and make them a winning culture, in my opinion.
And not worth the amount of money that he thinks he's worth.
No, he's not.
Nowhere near.
No, he's not.
Last year, against playoff teams, he won 1 game and lost to 5.
Yeah. And by the way, now granted, I'll give him this. Jason Garrett and the lack of defensive turnovers absolutely drained that Cowboys team, okay? I'll give him that. But how is it that Carson Wentz, who had absolutely nobodies to throw to, made the playoffs in the worst division of football while you had a stacked offense and still couldn't make the damn playoffs?
Yeah.
So I'm not impressed with you. So
that's pretty disappointing if you ask me.
Yeah.
And the Cowboys added more to that defense. Don Terry Poe. They got Gerald McCoy. They still got DeMarcus Lawrence. That front seven's still nice. Jalen Smith and Leighton Vander Esch, Sean Lee. Although the secondary did take a beating.
Yeah, they lost Byron Jones. Didn't they lose like a safety or something?
They lost Jeff Heath, but he was never really anything.
Right.
Quite frankly, I think Holland Clinton Dix is a way better addition.
Right, they did get him. So, I mean, the Cowboys on paper still look decent no matter who's at quarterback.
They got great talent. But Cowboys are a great team on paper. Dak, as the quarterback, I don't think that's smart.
No. And honestly, not only that, but we don't know what to expect from Mike McCarthy. He took off for a year, so I don't know what to expect from him.
And we all saw how he was in his later years with Green Bay. Not good.
No, so we don't know exactly what to expect from him. So that's why we give him a second place in 9-7. 9-7 because they still have a good team.
Yeah.
So now in third place is Washington at 5-11. I like Washington, the team, of course. The players, of course. Just want to get that out there.
Okay,
just to clarify everything.
We get what you mean.
I like Dwayne Haskins. I don't know why he's getting all this hate. I think he has pretty decent weapons. Terry McLaurin had a great year with a questionable quarterback play situation. Unfortunately, Kelvin Harmon is out with a torn ACL for the rest of the year, so that's really going to hurt him coming into a second year. Could have been a late-round steal for Washington. They lost Jordan Reed. I don't know who their tight ends are. Their rushing game could be really good. Adrian Peterson, who is aging, but could be that veteran aspect for Darius Geis and Bryce Love. They can be great, but they also have injury concerns, so that's the only flaw there. Their defense, that front seven is stacked, man. Chase Young, they got Ryan Kerrigan, they got freaking
Montez Sweat, they got who else they got? I know they got more.
Nonetheless, it reminds me of the Niners. Now, maybe not as dominant, but in terms of depth, it reminds me of the Niners from last year. You know how much depth they had? You know how dominant that front seven was? Yeah. Holy shit. So that's what that reminds me of, man. And they got Landon Collins in the backfield, or in the secondary, rather. You know, I don't know who their corners are. They got rid of Josh Norman, so I don't know.
They got
exactly.
They got Kendall Fuller back. But at best, he's a slot guy.
Right.
He's not an outside guy whatsoever.
So that's only, hurt there. They got Ron Rivera at head coach. I think he's going to turn that team around. Ron Rivera's always been a great coach. He might take a hit his first year and sacrifice of making that team better, but you know what? That happens to the best of the coaches, honestly.
Right, of course. So Washington 5-11. I mean, they have talent. I just don't think it's going to be enough for a good season or even decent at best.
Yeah,
I don't.
Now in fourth place is the New York Giants at 4-12. I just don't trust them. I feel so bad for Saquon. Daniel Jones has no one to throw to outside of Darius Slayton, who is great. Evan Ingram can't stay on the field. Sterling Shepard, okay. Who else? Who does he have? Their line still sucks.
Their defense is atrocious.
I mean, who they have on the... I can't name you one guy on their defense.
Oh, Leonard Williams. He hasn't done anything.
Jabril Peppers has never, ever lived up to his, hype
from college,
coming out of Michigan. Yeah, so, I mean, granted, the Browns kind of helped ruin that, but...
The Giants are just awful. I don't see anything from them.
Yeah, no.
I don't even know how Daniel Jones is going to do, to be honest.
Yeah, so 4-12. 4-12. Now, the NFC West. First place. The 49ers. San Francisco 49ers, 13-3. Now, arguably, they got worse. They traded away DeForest Buckner. They lost Emmanuel Sanders, but they did pick up Brandon Ayuk from Arizona State. He's going to be a yak monster.
Mm-hmm. And I believe they also, with the second first-round pick they had when they traded away DeForest Buckner, I cannot talk today. They got Javon Kinlaw, I believe.
Right, so that will definitely fill in that hole. But
even, the front seven, the defensive line, stacked as all hell.
Still stacked. Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw. They got Quan Alexander. I mean, holy shit. That's a hell of a linebacker core right there.
D Ford. Solomon Thomas, he could.
Yeah, that defense
He could step up big time.
Defense is still great. Secondary's still not too bad, even though Richard Sherman's getting up there with age, and this is the time where cornerbacks start to decline. But even then, their defense is still great. Their offense, like we said, they lost Emmanuel Sanders. Their rushing game is definitely not going to be as strong. They traded away Matt Breida. Raheem Mostert wants out for some reason. They lost, I think they lost another running back. Correct me if I'm wrong. But as far as I know, they have Tevin Coleman and Jerick McKinnon. But even though they're great, they can't stay healthy.
No.
Tevin Coleman with Kyle Shanahan is literally a match made in heaven. It's just too perfect for Coleman. But again, his injuries is a concern.
Exactly. And Jimmy Garoppolo, I mean, to be honest, he can't do anything without a
rushing game.
Yeah.
Now, he was decent in his first year as a full starter, but, can you still trust him? Even when they made him throw the ball in the Super Bowl, he pretty much almost cost the team. Well, he pretty much did. I won't say almost. They didn't win the game.
He overthrew Emmanuel Sanders, who was open.
Yeah.
Could have won the Super Bowl.
So, can you really trust Garoppolo? And with their rushing game being not only injury-prone, but, most of their head guys leaving this year,
it's going to hurt them. But the Niners are still a great team no matter what. They did get worse, but not by much. They're still a hell of a team. They're still a favorite for the Super Bowl. 13-3, I can definitely see them
yes,
win the division.
Yes.
Over the Seahawks, who are in second place with 12-4. Seahawks are a hell of a team. Defense is very good. I think Shaquem, I think it is, or is it Shaquille?
I think it's Shaquille. Shaquem is the linebacker.
Okay, Shaquille, they're twins. It's hard to
Yes.
identify. Shaquille Griffin, he's coming to his own. I think he's one of the most underrated cornerbacks in the league. Their safeties are nice. They could potentially trade for Jamal Adams, considering their name has been in that category.
And I actually think that's what's going to happen. I think they're going to trade for Jamal Adams. Where they're going to get the money to extend him, I have no idea. Because if they can't extend Clowney, how are they going to extend Adams? But I think they're going to add Adams just because they need that Cam Chancellor type enforcer on that secondary again. I think that's going to be great for them. I think Russell Wilson's going to win MVP this year, if I'm being completely honest with you. You know, he's just so innovative. He seems to be getting better. DK Metcalf's coming into his second year. Tyler Lockett is underrated. They're getting Will Dissly back. Hopefully he can stay healthy.
They got the addition of Greg Olsen, who, when healthy, is a hell of a weapon. Yeah. And for a guy like Russell Wilson, like, that's scary to really think of.
So I like the Seahawks this year, man. And with Pete Carroll still at head coach, he's been great for the Seahawks ever since joining them. So
yeah,
I like the Seahawks this year, 12-4. It might be a little too high, but I like them, 12-4. In third place in the NFC West, we have the Arizona Cardinals at 11-5.
The Cardinals are a stacked team.
They are, on paper, a phenomenal team. And we're going to go over it right now. Kyler Murray had a really good rookie year, in my opinion. He's coming to a second year with tons of weapons. DeAndre Hopkins, who they absolutely stole from Bill O'Brien. You got Larry Fitzgerald, ageless wonder. Christian Kirk. Andy Isabella, who's going to be the scary deep threat for the speedy deep threat for Kyler Murray.
Yeah, you got Hakeem Butler, who could be coming to his own. You got Kenyon Drake, who surpassed over 1,000 total scrimmage yards last year.
Chase Edmonds to split with him.
Yeah, that offense, and the offensive line really ain't all that bad either.
No,
completely.
And then that defense, Patrick Peterson's still great. Byron Murphy coming to a second year. They're going to complement each other so well. Buda Baker, safety behind them. You got Chandler Jones, who's just been absolutely phenomenal for Arizona ever since joining them. Every single season, double-digit sacks, and he's gotten better every year. Insane. So they're great, and I feel really excited for the Cardinals this year, 11-5.
And I can definitely see them being that team that from the previous year was awful, but step up big time, kind of like the Niners were last year.
Yeah.
When 2 years ago, they were one of the worst teams. And then last year, they made it to the Super Bowl. I can definitely see the Cardinals being that kind of team.
Absolutely.
This year.
And with Cliff Kingsbury at head coach in his second year, they could turn that team around big time.
Yeah.
They definitely did in the playoffs. I think the execution's going to speak for itself, honestly. Now, back in the dumps in the NFC West, we have the Los Angeles Rams at 6-10. I don't trust them no more. I don't trust Jared Goff, and I damn sure don't trust Sean McVay.
I have to agree.
And that's crazy.
I do not know what happened to the Rams. Like, they were trading for all these great players, making these great signings, and they still have talent.
Yeah.
But, again, they were making all these big trades, but yet again, you just look at some of the trades that they brought in, not a lot of them have really done much. No, not even Jalen Ramsey.
Right, because they lost Todd Gurley. They lost Brandon Cooks. Now, they still have Robert Woods. They still have Cooper Kupp. I believe they still have Josh Reynolds. You know, I mean, they still got receivers. They got Cam Akers in the draft. He's going to be great.
They got Tyler Higbee, Gerald Everett, who are two nice, decent tight ends.
Right. On defense, they're still good.
Aaron Donald. I think they still have Michael Brockers, I believe.
Right.
They got
Jalen Ramsey, of course. They got John Johnson, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong. So they're still good. I just don't trust them. I don't trust Jared Goff. I don't trust Sean McVay. And a few years ago, I was saying Sean McVay is going to lead that team to prominence for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Because of how young he is and how modern of a coach he is for the Rams compared to what Jeff Fisher was doing with them. And now look at them.
They're not looking good right now.
They're not looking.
Although they have talent, they're not looking good.
No, they're not. 6-10.
And I don't like Jared Goff, especially after giving him all that money. That's going to bite him in the ass.
Big waste of cap, man.
Especially with all the talent that you got on that team already. That's going to bite you in the ass when you're going to try to resign him.
It already is, honestly. It really is. So, but that's the divisions. Now we're going to go through the playoffs. The 7 teams that make the playoffs for the NFC. First seed getting the bye is the San Francisco 49ers. Second seed is the New Orleans Saints. Third seed is the Green Bay Packers. Fourth seed is the Philadelphia Eagles. The fifth seed is the Seattle Seahawks. The sixth seed is the Arizona Cardinals. In the 7th seed, making it in, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Even though we said all that about the Buccaneers, we think they still sneak in because with all that talent, how do you not? With Bruce Arians at head coach, Tom Brady at quarterback, and the receivers he has, how do you not? Right? So that's what we're going to stick with there. But again, same thing with AFC. If you guys have any different teams you want to insert into the playoff rankings or your own different playoff rankings from 1st to 7th seed, go put that down below, man. Love to hear you guys' opinions about that and all. And hope you guys enjoy. Let us know your guys' thoughts and predictions and stuff down below. Hopefully there is an NFL season. Hopefully we get some news by the time this is uploaded or shortly after this is uploaded because we need news. We need to know what the NFL is going to do with this whole COVID thing, their precautions, their testings, everything. Because this is serious. We want football. All right? We want football. So,
yeah, football is the one saving grace from sports happening.
Figure it out. Figure it out. Please. Because I want football. But let us know your guys' thoughts and predictions down below. See you guys in the next one, man.
Like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you later.
Peace!